it's Wes Fryer. It's November 30th, 2021, and we just had some amazing wild hog. It's the first time I've ever smoked or cooked wild hog, and thanks to my friend Lauren who provided the wild hog. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to kind of go back in time. So he got about, well, he got exactly two maybe 50-pound hogs, and one of the legs was shot up, so we have 7 legs that we're working with. And I'll turn the camera around a little bit and show this. I'm going to show a little bit kind of how I'm not having to do a whole lot to clean up. This was not a super fun thing to clean. Unlike, of course, you know, pork that you're just going to get from the grocery store, which they probably run through some kind of chemical bath or something like that to get all the hair and everything like that out. I'm basically just trimming off a little bit of the fat. You know, there's not a lot of fat in this, and so we don't want to get rid of all of it. But our rub will not adhere to the meat if it's, you know, if there's fat there. So just like we would with a brisket, we're going to try to leave some of the fat, but we're also going to make sure that, you know, we expose a lot of the meat so that our rub is going to be able to adhere. What I'm going to do, what I just did actually for the 3 legs that I cooked tonight, was I actually cooked them for 9 hours on the smoke, just naked on the smoker at 225. And that worked out great. They temped at about between 155 and 170. And what I did was I put those on before I went to school this morning at 7 o'clock, and then about 4:15, that's what they were temping at. So I cranked it up to 325 and cooked them for 2 more hours, and they turned out perfect. They were about 215, 220, which is a little warmer than I would usually do, but anyway, they turned out great. So I've got some video of the cook itself, but I didn't actually think I didn't know how this was gonna turn out. So I didn't know if I was gonna do a whole video, and I wanna talk a little bit about the preparation. So I'm gonna throw the camera on my tripod here and talk a little bit just as far as kind of what I'm doing to prep this, which isn't a ton beyond what my friend already did. And then we'll get to the video from earlier today of the cook and the eating and the rest. Oops, one more thing I want to say. I'm going to dry brine these tonight. I didn't do that last time, and so what I'm going to do is once I get you know, any kind of remaining hair there and just a little bit more of the trim, I'm going to salt them with some kosher salt, and I'm gonna just put them in the fridge overnight. And I think that's gonna, it's gonna absorb in the meat, and that's gonna allow it to retain more moisture. All right, so here's basically a finished one. That's what I'm going for. And there's a few hairs on this. I could trim this fat a little bit more, but I've exposed a lot of this meat. And this is pretty much ready for my dry brine. So that's what I'm going for here. So what I'm taking out and kind of starting with here, this is a bigger one. You can see this just has got more of the fat on it here. And then I've got more hair and stuff like that on it. And I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. So I've actually found that running this under the sink helps, but I'm gonna go ahead and trim some of this first, and then I'm gonna run it under the sink and get this hair off of it. And I'll move my camera. So that's cleaned up. So if we did a before and after, basically all the hair off, a little more fat off, and just a little more cleaned up. So looks like it's ready for some salt. everybody. It is November the 30th, 2021, and this may be the only barbecue video I ever do with my tie on, but I literally just came home from school. It's like 4:15, and thanks to the generosity of a friend behind me on my smoker, I have 3 pork shoulders from Wild Hogs. So a friend, Lauren, was deer hunting and got a deer last weekend, but he also got a couple, about I think 40-pound hogs that some guys had shot, and 7 of the legs are, you know, ready to go on the smoker. So I have had these on since 7 a.m. I'll see if I can show a picture here and I edit this. I used the gospel, or actually this is the Holy Gospel rub by Meat Church. I haven't, this is the first time I've used this. I've used just their gospel rub, but I put on my regular binder of half mustard, half molasses. I'm basically treating this pretty much, this is an experiment, but I know it doesn't have nearly as much fat in it as a regular pork shoulder. So normally I would be smoking this for about 5 or 6 hours overnight, and then I would wrap it, and I mean, if I could have done it sooner, I would have, but anyway, I just got home, so it's been on about 7 hours. Let's check it out, check out the temperature, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sauce it and, you know, put some brown sugar and butter on it, and then we'll put it on there for another 2 or 3 hours. All right, so, ooh, it's looking pretty good, actually. Let's take a look at our temperatures here. So I'm hoping to have something around 165. We're a little warm, we're 178. We're not quite done with the cook yet, though. So we're about 155, 160 here on this one. I've been smoking at 225 today, so we're about 165. We're actually doing pretty good. Not bad at all. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off, bring them inside, and I'm gonna wrap them, and then I'm gonna put them back out here on the smoker. All right, so these Wild Hog legs have actually temped pretty reasonably, a lot better than I thought they might. And shoot, one of them is going to be a little bit big for this, but I think the other ones are going to be all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put butter on these and brown sugar, just like I do for my regular pork butt. Did you not want to be in the camera shot, Tony? Thank you. Again, if I hadn't just come back from school, I would not be here in my tie, but it's kind of a couple crazy busy days. So I actually have to run off to a haircut. So here we are, wrapping the Wild Hog meat, and hopefully this is gonna, I don't know, I wonder if I should turn it up a little bit. What I read said that you definitely, I mean, of course, the longer you have it on the smoke, the more smoke flavor you put into your meat. So maybe I should do all 3 of these at once. All right, we're gonna see what this tastes like. This is a really pretty big experiment. Because we want to eat in about 3 hours, and I know we need to let the meat rest, but we should really let it rest an hour. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this on for 2 more hours, but cranking it up 100 degrees, so from 225 up to 325. Need to get the meat to about 190 for sure to be safe, and you know, my last pork butt that I did, which was store-bought, you know, I went ahead and let it get up to like 210. So anyway, we're gonna leave this on for 2 more hours, check it out, see how we're doing. All right, so it is 2 hours later. It's almost 6 o'clock, and this has been on the cooker for basically 11 hours. It's been on. It was on unwrapped for 7 hours at 225, and the last 2 hours I've had it wrapped. So we're going to test the temperature here. I'm looking for at least 190. If we're going up to 210, that's going to be fine too. But I'm hoping I'm not going to see a temperature less than 190. And if so, I'm going to pop this thing off and we're going to let this rest for an hour, and then we're going to eat at 7. So let's see what we got. Ooh, okay, 213, that's all right. 214, that's probing good. Okay, here's, oh man, look at that. I think this looks perfect. That, and it's going in pretty probe tender too. Oh man. Woohoo! All right, let's take this off and let her rest. Time of truth. We have been resting the meat for an hour, and we're about to find out. So, some of the recipes that we read said that, woo, look at that. That looks great. And this is the bourbon barbecue sauce. This is the bigger one. Man, that looks awesome. Where'd my gloves go? Some of the recipes that we read said that, I think I'm gonna actually be able to pull this. There's not as much fat in this, and so some people will actually take like bacon fat and put that in. Okay, and I don't think I'm gonna want this like a brisket. I think I'm gonna want my other pan. So this is an experiment. We do not know how tender this is gonna be. I didn't know. Oh man, look at this bone falling off. Okay, that looks good. Now look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This is pulled pork, ladies and gentlemen, from a wild hog. We are not going to calculate how much money was spent on everything that went into hunting, because you don't do that when you go hunting. Look at that. Okay, man, I thought I was going to have to slice this thing, and that just fell apart. Now, in the interest of comparison, I could keep this one separate, because this is actually the bourbon. Should I mix them or keep them separate? I think I'm just going to mix them all together. Mix all together. Yeah. All right, so there's number 1. Here's number 2. Now, I also could have taken these and just not put them in the pan, but I think it actually works out really well as far as the butter and the sauce and everything. Look at that. That turned out great. Actually, why don't you pause for a second? Let's take a picture. All right, so this is number 2. It's definitely not as fatty as you know, a farm-raised cow, but super soft, super tender. I actually cooked this to about 215, which is a little bit higher. Normally 210. My last pork shoulder is what I went to, but I'm pleased with the consistency. We haven't tasted it yet. All right, and here's number 3. It's always good to have plenty of foil pans laying around. All right, this one looks great too. And the bone is just falling off, so look at that. When your bone just falls right out, that's a good sign. The dogs are giving us their full attention. Look at that! Man, look at that. All right, that smells great. Okay, so here we are for the time of truth. And then I think we'll have to give the dogs their requisite bite. Give a bone. Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know, pork bone? All right, here's the taste. It's great. Definitely not as full of fat as a, quote, regular shoulder, but man, I think the flavor is good. Okay, let's see what the dogs think. Moose, are you ready for your bite? All right. You got him, Rach? What do you think? Is it good? All right, let's see what Rosie thinks. Are you ready, Rosie? You've never had a bite right after a smoke before. Is it good? All right.
So I say you probably shouldn't feed dogs pork bone.
Yeah.
They can splinter.
We're just doing the pork, so. All right, well, there you go. Let me know if you end up trying this, and we've got a couple more of these to try some different ways, but treating this just pretty much like a regular pork shoulder turned out great. All right, so this is pork legs 4, 5, well, what? Yeah, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And one of these was the same as last night, barbecue with meat church and molasses, and then I chose to do one kind of savory. So let me do a little taste test here. All right, so we'll do the one from last night, same recipe. Awesome. It was a 12-hour cook today because we had a meeting after school and couldn't get away. All right, so we ended up leaving it on a little bit, about an hour longer at the low temperature, but I still cooked, moved it up to 325. All right, here's the more savory that I do. Well, I dry brine this overnight, so that was a difference with salt. But this one, I did salt, pepper, and garlic, SPG by Cosmos. And then I also did the Ultimate Grilling Rub by Butcher Barbecue. But I still did sauce. I did Stubbs Barbecue, which is more of a savory, spicy. It's not super spicy, but it's not a sweet sauce like Sweet Baby Ray's. Man, I like this. I think I like this better, actually. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's different. I gotta get one more good bite here. It's a big bite. Can't take a bite that big. Oh man. Man, that's good stuff. Okay, you ready for your bite? All right, here's your bite. Here's your bite. All right, good. Yeah, that was good. Rosie, you ready for your bite? All right, that's a big bite. All right, you're gonna get a big bite. You ready? All right, what do you guys think? Good, Moose? Good, Rosie? Yeah? Is it good? Yeah, good stuff. We like wild hogs. They're tasty.